for many years until his recent death, and mostly playing blues. But now you've put together a solo album, and it sounds different from what you've been doing with Johnny. Let's talk about the music. Would you consider this to be more rock than blues?
Well, actually, Johnny got a lot of flack for playing rock blues. He was kind of like an outsider in the blues community because he played the rock part of it. So it was actually really great for him to get a BMA, last year. But I learned early on that you have to wear different hats in music, and you have to wear the right hat for the right situation. So, when I played with Johnny, I played a certain way. When I play with the fusion guys, I play a certain way. When I play with the country guys, I play a certain way. And that's how artists work. That's how musicians work. That's how session guys work, and that's how I started off. So, in writing stuff for this, I knew that I didn't want to play like Steve Vai. I didn't want to play him, people know that I can do that, and then you get little bursts and shades of that, but I found myself writing more for the sake of the song. What fit the song? What matched the melody from the singer? What matched the harmonies? What was catchy enough? What did they do back in the 70s when they wrote a classic riff that everybody wants to learn? Like an Allman Brothers riff or that kind of thing. So I was more interested in that because it wasn't like... I don't want somebody to listen to something I write and feel like, okay, I'd rather somebody listen to music and not feel like they're getting a guitar lesson. It's like, okay, it's enough of that already. I enjoy it, and I learn it, and I can shred, and I do all that stuff. But when you're writing songs, and when all those guys are writing songs, those Brian May riffs, they're not 90 miles an hour, but they're classic riffs. So that was important to me. But yeah, it's hard. In a blues setting, you got to be very careful. You can't start doing the Steve Vai riffs and this kind of thing. You do some Hendrix or whatever, but some of that stuff is very pigeonholed. You have to play certain stuff, and that's why Johnny took me under his wing. He had me listen to, T-Bone and Robert Johnson and Gatemouth and all those guys to really, and he, then I'd be like, all right, so I have to get this record and this record and this record, all these records that you got, only they're on CD, but, and he'd say, oh, no, you don't have to get all of them, just learn this riff, learn this song, and that's how he channeled me into, this is what I learned. This is what we all listened to. We listened to the Okie Dokie Stomp. We all learned this solo. We did that kind of thing. So that really cut me to the chase. We learned this Elmore James slide line. Well, I didn't learn any. You didn't work on any of those songs, so I knew exactly what he worked on, what he listened to. So that helped me a lot.
Paul, you're a learned musician. You've studied music theory at Berklee College of Music. But so much about this music, especially blues, is about feeling and passion. And my question is there such thing as blues theory? If blues music is about feeling, can feeling be taught?
You can't really analyze it. I mean, you can, and a lot of times specific notes are just written off the things that, in theory, there's certain notes in blues that just shouldn't work. They're not supposed to work. But because they've been done so much, they do work. So then they come up with some theoretical excuse as to why it works. Oh, well, because it's been done so much or whatever. But yes, it is a feel thing. It's a soul thing. It's a life experience-driven style of music. So, yeah, you got to take the theory out. The thing is, after you study enough, when it comes time to play, you shouldn't think at all. You practice all those years, and you work on your scales and your singing or your bass playing or whatever, to forget everything, to just do. So blues has a lot to do with just doing,
If I give an understand, I won't deny your love. How can I make you see that things will be much better?
So what kind of guitar setup are you using these days?
Right now, I'm very into Les Pauls. Everybody else is into that, the Warname kind of thing. And I love Strats. I played a Strat with Johnny, so I would have a different style of sound over his Gibson kind of sound, the famous Firebird, and he had that later. But yeah, in the studio, I use a ton of different instruments. I use different recording techniques. If there's an acoustic part or a 12-string part or a thicker guitar sound or a thinner or a telly. You just have to bring in a whole arsenal of stuff in case the mood suits you, and then you just grab for that instrument and you're like, okay.
Paul, I've heard you play slide a lot on albums you recorded with Johnny Winter. What kind of slide do you like to use?
It doesn't really matter to me. I mean, I know there's differences in tone, but whatever's handy, sometimes I won't specifically say I need a brighter glassy tone. I need this. If the amp's right and the guitar's right and you're plugged in and everything's mic'd correctly and you got that nice sustaining kind of stuff, it doesn't matter to me what slide, as long as it's working. The action has to be a little high so that the tone comes out and you get that sustain. But and then how you set the amps and all that matters. But in general, I would say I like a chrome, sometimes brass. The glass, okay, gets a little weird sounding for me. I don't like the glass too much. But the metal always does it for me.
'Cause when love makes right, there is no way you can win. But you hold on tight to what you know ain't right again. Fools in love, fooled by love again.
Goes together, like chitlins and greens. It's Blues America.
Hello, this is Big Lou. The Blues Foundation presents the Keeping the Blues Alive Awards to people and organizations that have made significant contributions to the blues world. The KBAs are awarded to people who make a difference in the non-performing aspects of the blues. Such as literature, videos, artists, and event promotion, and more. There are a lot of stars in the blues world, and the Blues Foundation wants to make sure we all know who they are. Learn more about Keeping the Blues Alive at www.blues.org.
You're listening to Blues America. I'm your host, Drew Verbis, and I'm hanging out at the Chico Chisholm Memorial Studio in Phoenix with today's special guest, Paul Nelson. Paul, as previously mentioned, for any listeners just tuning in, you were the producer and guitarist as a member of the Johnny Winter Band for many years until his death. How did you and Johnny hook up?
Well, we met at the Carriage House Studios over here on the East Coast. He was recording, and I was working with I was recording as well, and he heard me, and he liked my style. The powers that be asked me if I would write some songs for an album he was working on, and that was I'm a Bluesman back then. So I wrote a couple songs, they liked it, and then he said, well, would you like to play on the album? And or would you like to play on even more songs? Now that you're on the album, would you like to come on tour? And we built a friendship and a closeness musically and, in real life. And it just went on from there to the point where he entrusted me to manage him, help his career, and then produce him as well. And then we got the Grammy, which he has never gotten for himself. He never got a Grammy for his own works, which is weird. He got it for working with everybody else, Muddy and whatnot, but never for his own thing. That's kind of promise that I made him, that I would try to do that for him. So it was an important one.
Tell me more more about Johnny. It seems like he was crazy about the blues.
Oh, unbelievable. He was a blues historian. I've met a few of those. Billy Gibbons was one. The guy Bill Wax, I'm not sure if you're familiar with him. Johnny was one of those. Dick Sherman, producer. And he was also very smart, great sense of humor, quick wit. And, as he cleaned up his act and he was having his comeback and getting off of all those demons, it really came out. So he really enjoyed his later half of his life. I mean, emphysema got to him, but something couldn't fix. But everything else was fixed. He was off of everything. And the movie that's coming out, Down and Dirty, it describes what was going on as well as the history, and got a lot of cameos by a lot of guys.
Paul Nelson, my special guest today on Blues America, where the current topic of conversation is his time as the producer and guitarist for the late, great Johnny Winter. Now, Paul, Johnny was very active touring, and I'm sure over the years you've had your share of crazy. Is there any stories you can share with us?
There was a lot of wacky stuff. Nothing I can probably say on the air, but yeah, there were some fun moments. It was just unbelievable stuff. Well, there's a story one time that he was so messed up back in the day that he was on an airplane and he went into the bathroom and he was so out of his mind, from whatever he was on, that he walked back out of the bathroom and then looked down the aisle and then screamed to everyone, "What the hell is everybody doing on my bus?" That's how bad, yeah. But later on, like I said, he cleaned up his act, and there were many stories that I heard, kinds of stuff, wacky stuff that he did. But yeah, he didn't like flying that much. We did tour a lot, but it actually was good for him health-wise. They were trying to strengthen his lungs because of the emphysema. So, it was kind of like doctor's orders that he walk around more and he exercised. He was doing a lot of that, and a lot of that's in the movie.
Just to be alone, 'cause I'm still living with the memory of the days that's past and gone. Days that's past and gone.
Red, white, and blues. You're listening to Blues America, baby.
Unchain my heart,
Unchain my heart,
baby, let me be.
unchain my heart,
Unchain my heart,
unchain my heart,
but you don't care about me.
unchain my heart.
Paul, Johnny was really doing a lot better towards the end of his life. He had been nominated for numerous awards, and of course he won the Grammy for Step Back. He seemed to be more in control, and more importantly, he kicked the recreational drug habit. This all kind of seemed to coincide with you entering the band. Do you feel responsibility for helping Johnny to clean up?
Yes. Once I started working with him trying to help his career, I said, there's going to have to be a lot of changes. And, I pointed out certain things that were bad. And one was, the alcohol, and he was open about this. And then, the methadone and the pills he was on, which is in the book, we slowly had to work together to peel all those layers away, and as he got better, he would see the results, and then it would just spawn more things to shed. And one of those was, the smoking stopped 3 years before he passed because of the emphysema. It had to go, and the methadone was the hardest thing, and then actually the smoking was the hardest thing, cigarettes, because after you get rid of everything, just smoking's left. It's like, I have to have something. So, but, he started standing for performances, his singing got better, his playing got better, his, all around, he was just really loving life and everything that was going on. It was really nice to see. Good home life. He was spending more time with his brother, doing more shows, doing more TV, just more interviews, and that's why it was time to record him. That's why